Okay, we're going to have a lecture on standard costs and variance analysis. This is the second of three parts from chapter 24, which again is some of the most difficult material that we're going to see this semester. Today's lecture is going to involve looking at 4 exercises, relatively straightforward, simple exercises, where we're going to walk through calculation of the variances. So allow me to share my screen so that we can begin to work on this. And this handout, this document here, has already been loaded onto Sakai. And again, it's the same title. It says Standard Cost and Variance Analysis, Exercises 3, 5, 6, and 7. So what I would like to do is look at the problem, read the problem, and then look at the solution that I've written out. Again, I apologize for some of the sloppiness, but we'll walk through it. Your goal is to understand where all of these numbers come from. So let's look at the first exercise, exercise number 3. Exercise 24-3. Stefani Company has gathered the following information about its product. You look at it really quick, you can see it's direct materials, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead. When tackling these problems, I strongly suggest that you read the problem multiple times before you begin to write down your solution so you understand what's going on. There are 3 things that you're looking for when you are solving these problems. You're looking for actual output. You're looking for standard information, both quantity and price. And you're also looking for actual information in terms of what it costs. So let's take a look at this first problem. Stefani Company has gathered the following information about its product. Before we read the detail, let's ask what they're looking for. That's down here under instructions. Compute Stefani's total standard cost per unit. So they're asking you to prepare the standard cost card, which is, as you recall, a summary of quantity and price assumptions by materials, labor, and overhead. Let's read what they have to say. Direct materials. Each unit of product contains 4.5 pounds of materials. The average waste and spoilage per unit produced under normal conditions is ½ pound. Goes on to say, materials cost $5 per pound, but Stefani always takes the 2% cash discount all of its suppliers offer. Freight costs average 25 cents a pound. So they're giving you information that you need to come up with the standards. You need to develop quantity and price assumptions. Now, this problem is very similar to the very beginning of Exonic Tonic Beverage Company example, where the first step that they took was to develop the standards. That's what they're asking you to do here, develop the standards. It goes on to say direct labor. Each unit requires 2 hours of labor. Setup, cleanup, and downtime average 0.4 hours per unit. The average hourly pay rate of Stefani employees is $12. Payroll taxes and fringe benefits are an additional $3 per hour. Again, they're giving you information so you can calculate quantity and price assumptions for direct labor. And lastly, manufacturing overhead is applied at a rate of $7 per direct labor hour. Again, you need to prepare a standard cost card summarizing quantity and price assumptions. Let's take a look at the solution. Exercise 24-3. Direct materials, quantity, required materials, 4.5 pounds, plus an allowance for waste. They add the 0.5 pounds, 5 pounds per unit. That's the quantity assumption. The price assumption, the purchase price is $5 per pound. They get a discount of 2% per pound, which is 0.02 times $5, 10 cents. It's a discount. The freight cost is 25 cents per pound. The price assumption is $5.15 per pound. Let's take a look at direct labor. The direct labor quantity, that is the hours. It says it takes 2 hours per unit. Setup and downtime, 0.4 hours. Quantity assumption is 2.4 hours. The price or the rate, the labor rate is $12 per hour. Payroll taxes and benefits are $3 per hour. The price assumption, the rate assumption is $15 per hour. Here's the standard cost card. Again, similar to the Exonic Beverage Company problem. Standard cost card, quantity and price, total. Direct materials, $5 per pound, $5.15 per pound, $25.75. Direct labor, 2.4 hours, $15 per hour, $36. Manufacturing overhead. A couple of things I want to say here. The quantity, it said that manufacturing overhead was applied on the basis of direct labor hours, so you can use the same number of direct labor hours, 2.4 hours. And they said that the rate, specifically they said, the overhead is applied at a rate of $7 per direct labor hour. $7 per direct labor hour is the standard price. It is also the predetermined overhead rate. Please remember, the standard price equals predetermined overhead rate. So that's exercise 3. Very straightforward. Calculation and summarization of standards, quantity and price, materials, labor, and overhead. Let's look at exercise number 5. Again, you're looking for 3 things: actual output, standard information, and actual information. The standard cost, this is exercise 5, the standard cost of product B, manufactured by Farrell Company, includes 3 units of direct materials at $5 per unit. During June, 29,000 units of direct materials are purchased at a cost of $4.70 per unit, and 29,000 units of direct materials are used to produce 9,400 units. 9,400 units is the actual output. And please remember, it takes 3 units to make one of these. It's a poorly worded question, but that's what the author gave us, okay? A, compute the total materials variance and price and quantity variances. I'm only interested in part A of this problem. A only. Let's look at the solution. Again, you've got 3 headings here. On the far left, you've got the standard, which is AQ times AP. On the far right, on the far left, you have the actual quantity times actual price. On the far right, you have the standard quantity times standard price. And in the middle, we have this other number that allows us to calculate the price and the quantity variances. Let's work with the standard first. The actual output, important number, 9,400 units. It says it takes 3 units per, I wish they had used something like 3 pounds, but they didn't. They used 3 units. 9,400 units is the actual output. It takes 3 units per unit. That's what the problem says. So they should have used 28,200 units at a standard price of $5. They should have spent $141,000 on materials. What did they actually spend? Well, they actually used 29,000 units. They actually paid $4.70 per unit for a total of $136,300. Again, you want to look back at the problem, make sure you know where every single number comes from. They actually spent $136,300. They should have spent $141,000. They spent less than they should have spent. $4,700 favorable spending variance, also known as an overall variance. But we're interested in the price and the quantity variances. So the actual versus this number in the middle, AQ times SP. The actual quantity was 29,000. They should have paid $5 per unit. This middle number is $145,000. The difference between the middle and the actual, $8,700 favorable price variance. Let's look at it another way. The standard was $5 per unit. They actually paid $4.70 per unit, 30-cent savings per unit, times 29,000 units, $8,700 favorable variance. So they did a good job purchasing. That's what that means. Let's look at the quantity variance. They should have used 28,200 units. They actually used 29,000 units, 800 unit savings. Pardon me, they used 800 more. They used too much. They should have used 28,200. They actually used 29,000. They used 800 units more than they should have. This may be waste, mistakes, spoilage, we're not sure, theft, we're not sure. But they still used 800 too much. Times $5, $4,000 unfavorable variance. If they indeed used too much material, maybe they made some mistakes. Possible solution for this variance is job training. Let's look at exercise number 6. Exercise 6, Lewis Company's standard labor cost of producing 1 unit of product DD is 4 hours at the rate of $12 per hour. That's the standard information. The standard quantity is 4 hours. The standard price, $12 per hour. It goes on saying during August, 40,600 hours, it's the actual hours, are incurred at a cost of $12.15 per hour. Again, actual information. To produce 10,000 units of product DT. 10,000 units is the actual output. What are they asking you to do? Compute the total labor variance. That's the overall variance. B, compute the labor variance in the quantity variance. We're only interested in items A and B. Let's look at the solution for number 6. Again, the far left-hand side for these direct labor variances is the actual information, AQ times AP. Far right-hand side is the standard information, which is essentially the flexible budget, what it should have cost for the actual output. So let's start with the actual output. 10,000 units was the actual output. It should have taken 4 hours per unit. They should have used 40,000 hours. The standard price, $12 an hour. They should have spent $480,000 on direct labor. How much did they actually spend? They told you they actually used 40,600 hours. They actually spent $12.15 per hour. They spent a total of $493,290. In comparison to the 480, The difference between the actual and what they should have spent for those 10,000 units, $13,290 unfavorable variance. They spent too much, hence unfavorable. But what was the cause? Did they pay their employees too much? Or were they inefficient? Did they use too many hours? We don't know yet. So we need to look at this middle column here, AQ times SP, the actual quantity, 40,600 hours times $12 an hour. This middle number is $487,200. Now we can calculate price and efficiency. Let's look at the price variance first. This dollar amount here minus the $493, I have a price variance of $6,090. Unfavorable. Why is it unfavorable? The standard was to pay $12 per hour. They actually spent $12.15 per hour. They spent 15 cents per hour too much. Over 40,600 hours. Unfavorable price variance. They paid their employees too much. Let's look at the efficiency variance. They should have used 40,000 hours to produce those 10,000 units, but they actually used 40,600 hours. They used 600 hours too much. 40,000 versus 40,600. 600 hours too much at $12, $7,200. So they got two issues here. Their employees were inefficient and they paid them more than the standard. I think here you solve this efficiency variance, you'll be in better shape. So possibly to solve it, you're going to encourage some job training to improve employee efficiency. Let's look at exercise number 7. Exercise 24-7. Levine Inc., which produces a single product, has prepared the following standard cost sheet for 1 unit of product. So this is the standard information. Direct materials, 8 pounds at $2.50 a pound for $20 per unit. Direct labor, 3 hours at $12 per hour, $36. During the month of April, the company manufactures 230 units. That's the actual output. And incurs the following actual costs. Direct materials purchased and used, 1,900 pounds. Total cost, $5,035. Direct labor, 700 hours. Total of $8,120. So what's important here, number one, they told you the actual output at 230 units, but they also tell you for materials, the quantity, 1,900 pounds, and the total cost. They didn't tell you what they paid per pound, but you could get that because if you took $5,035 divided by 1,900 pounds, you can determine what they paid per pound, the actual price. Same thing with direct labor. If you know the total they spent on labor and how many hours, you take the $8,120 divided by the 700 hours, and you can find out what the actual price was. So in this problem, you've got standard information, you've got the actual output, and then you have the actual information. What are they asking you to do? Instructions. Compute the total price and quantity variances for materials and labor. Let's look at the solution. 24-7. Let's first look at the direct materials variances. Let's work with the standard information first on the right-hand side. Always look for the actual output. The actual output was 230 units. The standard said 8 pounds per unit. They should have used 1,840 pounds. At a price of $2.50 per pound, they should have spent $4,600. How much did they actually spend? Well, they gave you this 5,035 right here, which was made up of 1,900 times some number. They didn't tell you what this 265 was, but you could easily calculate it, as I mentioned, $5,035 divided by the 1,900 pounds, get 265. But the first step was to do what? Calculate the overall variance. Standard, it should have spent 4,600. They actually spent 5,035, $435 unfavorable overall spending variance. But we also need to calculate price and quantity variance. So we have this middle number, AQ times SP. Actual quantity, 1,900 pounds. Standard price, $2.50. Got a total of $47.50. Difference between actual and this middle number, $285 unfavorable. Another way to get that number, because it's a price variance, a comparison between what they should have paid per pound and what they actually paid per pound. They should have paid $2.50 per pound. They actually paid $2.65 per pound. They paid 15 cents per pound more than the standard, hence unfavorable. 15 cents times 1,900 bucks, $285 unfavorable variance. Let's look at the quantity variance. 4,600 compared to 4,750, $150 variance. Another way to look at it, they should have used 1,840 pounds. They used 1,900 pounds. They used 60 pounds more than they should have at $2.50, $150 unfavorable variance. So we got two things going on here. They used too much material, hence an unfavorable variance. How do we solve that? Job training. Maybe they're making mistakes. Maybe it's waste, maybe it's spoilage, we're not sure, but job training probably go a long way. And then what else? They paid too much per pound. They should have paid $2.50, actually paid $2.65. Paid too much per pound. You got to find a better deal somewhere else. Let's look at direct labor. Again, let's start with the standard. Working with first the actual output. The actual output stays the same at 230 units. The standard was that they spend 3 hours per unit. They should have used 690 hours at $12. They should have spent $8,280 on labor. What did they actually spend? They said they spent $8,120. They gave that to you. So you've got an overall variance of 160. They should have spent 82.80, actually spent 81.20, $160 favorable variance. Let's look at this actual a little closer. Actual quantity was 700 hours, total of 81.20. You can figure out that number in the box. They paid their employees $11.60 per hour. So we want to know the rate variance and the efficiency variance. Let's look at the rate or the price variance first. This middle number is the actual quantity times the standard price. They actually worked 700 hours. The standard price $12. This middle number is 8,400. The rate variance is favorable. Why? They should have paid them $12 an hour. They paid them $11.60 an hour, 40 cents per hour savings, over 700 hours, $280 favorable variance. No problems there. Good job. Let's look at the quantity variance. They should have used 690 hours. They actually used 700 hours, 10 hours more than they should have, at $12 an hour, $120 unfavorable variance. So they were not efficient, but still on an overall basis, they're doing okay. So my recommendation to you is look at these 4 exercises again. Make sure you know where every single number comes from. And the next video will have some more difficult problems. Okay, good luck.